Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're now about to start with our first session for City Leaders Conclave. Thank you all for joining us today. We start with our first part of the session on developing smart cities from strategy to implementation. Our distinguished speakers are already here. I now request our speakers, Dr. Sunil Dubey, Senior Advisor, Metropolis, to please join us on the dais. Dr. Ramnath Sonawane, CEO, Nagpur Smart and Sustainable City Development Corporation Limited. Shri Vinod Agarwal, Mayor, Moradabad. Shri MahipTejasvi, CEO, Gwalior Smart City Limited. Our speakers, Ms. Henriette Faergemann and Srimati Amrapali Kata, will be joining us shortly. I would also request Ms. Agnes from Metropolis to give a brief introduction. Metropolis is one of our partners along with All India Local Self-Government and UCLG supporting our City Leaders Conclave today. Over to you, Agnes.
Thank you, Risha. Distinguished delegates and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Agnes Bicart, and on behalf of Metropolis and the president of our association and mayor of Berlin, Honorable Mayor Müller, and on behalf of our Secretary General, Mr. De La Varga, I welcome all of you in this City Leaders Conclave in Metropolis, Delhi. So for those who are not familiar with Metropolis and have not attended our yesterday's session on women and strategies to achieve safe cities for women and girls, Metropolis is the leading international organization that brings together the government of cities and metropolitan areas over 1 million inhabitants. Metropolis Network has at its core the creation of a space where both local elected representatives and urban managers can exchange on experiences and knowledge concerning important issues for their cities and for improving the quality of life of their citizens. And at the same time, it is a space where you can gain international advice and alternate views on metropolitan problems. By establishing this strong network, Metropolis has become the main voice of major cities and metropolitan areas at world stage and before the UN. It therefore unites resources and skills to advocate for metropolitan interests in the global arena and to improve the performances of cities in line with the new urban agenda and the SDGs. So yesterday we have explained our vision of the metropolitan phenomena that we believe in big cities for and by their citizens, where an effective and engaged metropolitan governance fosters economic development, gender equality, sustainability, and social cohesion towards quality of life. And this is the reason why these last 35 years we've been developing and implementing tools and services structured by programs. Because we know that managing big cities works at different levels of management. We know that, and we have anticipated and developed tailor-made services according to city management layers to which each of us belong, whether it is the mayor level, the CEO level, like urban managers level, or most important, the administrative level. So, whether it is Metropolis training or capacity building facilities, Metropolis Urban Innovation, we also have Metropolis Policy Transfer Platform, not to mention the Metropolis Resource Center and Observatory, when you can find and access state-of-the-art information on the metropolitan fabric and facts. All these tools bring together cities from different continents and cultures, and they bridge the gap these cities could experience by not interacting face to face. And by being together, these cities explore and they test solutions for an everyday changing city, as well as thinking ahead for the urban future. So we are very, very proud to be here today, to be also the founding partner of Smart City India. And this conference goes in this direction because increasingly cities need to cooperate and learn from each other. So today we are having one of our most proactive members, the city of Tijuana, Mexico, interacting with prominent city leaders from all over India. And this Metropolis Conclave session is dedicated to mutual learning and knowledge exchange among cities, and importantly, how cities can effectively work with each other, saving valuable time and resources through applied programs and projects. So without further ado, we shall begin the session. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to give the floor to our panelists for this two-part session. I am also available to speak with you after the session and discuss how Metropolis organization can assist and work together with your city or metropolitan region. I suggest a round of applause for our panelists. Over to you, Sunil.
Thank you, Agnes. So it's good to have some pre-introduction of Metropolis, what we do, how we do it, and why is it important for Metropolis to engage with cities around the world. My name is Sunil Dubey. I advise the Secretary General and the President of Metropolis, Honorable Mr. Mueller, who's Mayor of Berlin. And I also do a very basic thing, which is teaching. I teach at the University of Sydney, and core of my teaching is based on what is happening with international cities and why this learning is going to be important for cities in India, because cities in India don't have time to develop in the same way Western cities have developed themselves. So time is very critical for Indian cities. What Agnes mentioned it to you about mutual learning and engagement and collaboration is going to be very critical for Indian cities. Not necessarily how do you do the best things in your cities, and particularly in smart cities, but how you not do things which are going to send you backward. So what we are trying to emphasize now is what is the shortest time period you're going to take to develop these 100 smart cities. Because if we don't get it right, if our smart cities are not reflecting the right need of citizens, it's going to be difficult not only for India, but in fact for the entire world. The consequences of things not going right in Indian cities is not going to limit only to your city, sir, with all due respect. It's going to go in the region at the country level and influence the entire world. I live in city of Sydney. It's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. What you do in Chennai or what you do in your cities in southern part of India affect our cities, our coastal cities directly. There's an evidence now that cities are so much interconnected. The interconnection is not necessarily only about the good things. The interconnection is also about things which are not very good. So learning becomes very interesting phenomena when we talk about connecting cities. In Metropolis, we very strongly believe on connecting cities. And let me see how the technology is working. And developing smart city is going to be very interesting phenomena now, because the word smart has to be added on for something very specific. If we take out the word smart altogether, are we not going to develop the cities around the world? Of course we are. It's an economic, social and environmental necessity today to do that. But what the notion of smart brings is something which is very close to our heart, something what we call the citizen engagement. Can I have the next click? And this SMART, and you can actually see the click is happening between S, M and art. This SMART is very essential because people need to be associated in this, and our cities need to reflect that. Art in that sense is basically about engagement. Art for the politicians, for the technocrats, for the bureaucrats in the city is not necessarily about the management per se. It's about how well you can engage with the citizens in these smart cities. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges in how we take the strategy to implementation level. Why do we say this? It's very simple. Cities all around the world are bursting at the seam. Professor Jeffrey Sachs in 2009 put a fantastic essay giving data why cities are going to thrive in this century, in the next century, but cities are also going to be the first point of failure for the human history. And he demonstrated cities and quoted bursting at the seams simply because the notion of people from our cities seems to be disconnecting. When we look at this wonderful city, you can see what's happening in the cities. Huge infrastructure, huge physicalities are there, but where are the people? Where are the people in these cities? And people are the basic building block of our cities. If we can't get people together and build the cities with engagement, and some of these engagements are going to be very disruptive. For politics, for administration, you may not want to hear, but that's not going to go away that soon. So that people's disruption is very essential for our modern cities or smart cities. I feel very proud to show you this slide. And I say it simply why I feel at Metropolis we feel very proud of this slide for two reasons. The notion is highway to people's way is very reflective of what this slide shows. And let me tell you what it is. Where you see people walking is this beautiful city of Seoul. Seoul transformed itself in just 3 decades from a city which had absolutely nothing, 3 to 4 decades, one may argue, absolutely nothing, from the war zones and everything, and now today they are one of the best cities how you demonstrate the city leadership, governance and technology intervention. What you see today, this is the live, almost live pictures from the Seoul. There used to be a huge highway going through, cutting through the city. And that highway was in fact not doing a real service to the people of city. It was disconnecting, it was connecting cars, people were missing. The leadership, the mayor of Seoul, in consultation with the community, decided to get rid of this and put this very simple thing. Today, this is a world phenomena that cities are in fact not building more and more infrastructure. Cities like Seoul are in fact reducing and demolishing their physical infrastructure, because more physical infrastructure is giving rise to dividing your cities. Remember the last slide? More buildings, more divisions are happening. So our notion is, please keep people at the center of your cities. Please keep people at the as a focal point for your smart cities. And this is not going to be unknown in Indian cities. Whatever physical infrastructure you are going to put today, that must reflect that how well is it going to connect people in your cities. So with that, I just want to say we do have a global agenda as well. As a community, as a global community throughout the world, first time we have taken ourselves from all cities, from all urban areas, all metropolitans together, and even under the UN, first time we have put goal 11 only dedicated to cities. You know, when you think of United Nations, by wordings of it, you can understand it's United Nations. They don't want cities to come together. But first time the acceptance is quite there that if we don't address the issues of the cities, which falls under goal 11, we are going to have serious trouble, not only for the humanity, but for the entire environment. Easy to say, very difficult to deliver sometimes. And with that notion, I also want to bring some of the experiences from our panelists. We are very lucky to have a very diverse group of members today on our panel. And to start with, I want to highlight that you can go and work for a number of decades or years, but sometimes you come to a point where we want to take 3 decades or 4 decades of experience and want to demonstrate how well I can use my urbanization experience or development experience to make something as a quick outcome for my city. We are very fortunate to have the CEO of the Nagpur Smart City, who is going to demonstrate it to us that how well he is utilizing his 3 decades of experience from urbanization sector to deliver this Nagpur Smart Cities and deliver it in probably the shortest possible way. And that experience in Indian scenario is probably one of the most valuable assets for smart cities. To Mr. Sonawane, the floor is yours, sir. Welcome.
Good morning, friends. Can you load the print? Yeah. Operate. Can I operate it here? First of all, let me tell you a few things about Nagpur. Nagpur is heart of India. It is the center of India. It is also known as Orange Capital, Orange City, and it is also known as the Tiger Capital of India. There are several wildlife sanctuaries across the city. The present Chief Minister, Honorable Mr. Fadnavis, comes from Nagpur, and the Union Minister, Mr. Gadkari, Union Minister for Surface Transport and Shipping, also comes for Nagpur. That's why Nagpur has occupied an important place in the country. Nagpur Municipal Corporation is more than 125-year-old, and Nagpur was selected as a smart city in the second round. The population of Nagpur is around 2.5 million. The area is almost 227 square kilometers, and it contributes 4% to the GDP of the state. Basically, Nagpur is emerging as logistic hub with the introduction of GST. It is emerging as logistic hub. It is also emerging as education hub and health hub. You see, as stated in the mission guidelines, while formulating our smart city proposal, the prerequisite was extensive citizen engagement. And we carried out extension citizen engagement. We contacted near about 235,000 households before we mapped the aspirations of the people. In order to understand the aspirations and the wishes of the people, we contacted 235,000 households. And then based on that, we selected the option under area-based development and the option under the pan-city solutions. Based on the aspirations of the people, we have evolved the vision which can be summarized in 4 letters, 3E and 1I. And the vision of Nagpur Smart City is to transform India's heart Nagpur into the most livable, eco-friendly edu-city that electronically connects people with the government to co-create an inclusive ecosystem. That was the vision which we formulated out of the aspirations of the people. And the strategies we adopted are basically based on 4 pillars: smart mobility, smart environment, smart governance, and smart living. These are the pillars on which our smart city proposal is based. And by mobility, we do not mean motorized transport. We really want to encourage non-motorized transport. By smart environment, we want to actually preserve our environment, rejuvenate our rivers. The city Nagpur derives its name from river Nag, which is in a very pathetic state right now. So we have prepared 2 detailed project reports, one for Nag riverfront development and second for pollution abatement. And besides that, we have undertaken several projects to improve the environment in accordance with the SDGs and the new urban agenda. And most important, you see, the smart city means the smart governance. And smart governance means e-governance, electronic governance. When we talk about democracy, we say democracy is when people speak, government listens and acts. So that dialogue between the people and the government should be through information communication based technologies. And next is smart living, wherein the important thing is we should provide better education, employable education, and employment opportunities within the city. Right now there is only one business center in Nagpur. We intend to create more business centers by adopting polycentric approach. Under area-based development, we have selected 1,730 acres of land. There were 3 options available: greenfield development, redevelopment, and retrofitting. Part of the Nagpur is developed in a very planned way, but the subsequent development, post-independent development, is not that much planned. There is a lot of unauthorized and unplanned development which has taken place in the past. Government came out with certain regulations, certain rules, certain acts to regularize those unauthorized structures, but due to land use constraints, we could not. Therefore, now we have adopted the approach wherein a town planning scheme is already prepared. Draft town planning scheme is prepared and approved by the planning authority for 1,730 acres of area. There are the projects identified under smart city project. There are nearly 24 projects. But here also we have adopted holistic approach wherein roads will be constructed, infrastructure will be provided based on project Tendersure, which is implemented in Bangalore, wherein road, water supply, sewerage, stormwater drainage system, bicycle bays, footpaths, street lights, and parking facilities are provided by way of one single tender. The work will be carried out as one single work. And there are 24 other projects which are identified under ABD. I will not waste my time on actually enlisting all those 24 projects, but basically they deal with physical as well as social infrastructure. And most important, second component of smart city is Pan City solution, which is ICT based, information communication technology based solutions, wherein we have implemented a project which is almost complete now, Nagpur Safe and Smart City project. The project has 4 basic components: city-wide solutions, that is city network, city kiosks, city Wi-Fi, and city surveillance. One smart strip is also developed, and one command and control center for police, and one city operation center for municipal corporation that is developed. The project is worth 520 crores. It is undertaken by Government of Maharashtra for Nagpur Municipal Corporation and Nagpur Police. We have installed 3,800 CCTV surveillance cameras at 700 junctions, created 136 Wi-Fi spots, provided near about 65 kiosks in various locations. The project is complete and it will be dedicated to the people shortly. This is a snapshot of our city operation center. This is the video wall, picture of the video wall. It's 8 by 3 meter video wall, wherein feed from 3,800 CCTV surveillance cameras, including some of the PTZ cameras, is actually collected, analyzed. And let me tell you one thing, the trial run is going on, but during the trial run also we noticed that it is very helpful. It is helpful in detecting and controlling the crime. At the same time, it is helpful in managing our traffic systems in more intelligent way. We are implementing ANPR, that is automatic number plate reading system, and RLVD, red light violation detection system, and FRS, facial recognition system under this project, due to which Nagpur police are able to nab the criminals. During trial run itself, more than 100 such crimes have been detected, including some crimes related to murder and kidnapping. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks, Mr. Sonawane. That was brilliant to see how some of these projects are now implemented at ground level, and what's the impact of some of these projects are happening. I was most impressed to see, Mr. Sonawane, how you described from the city operation centers the outcome which you can actually measure it in the crime rates, and tagging something which you can avoid just by way of technology. So congratulations. One of the key components with cities in India is our heritage. The heritage, that's art, culture, buildings, play a very important role. And the smartness in today's era is often seen by the prism of technology. How well the technology interventions are happening. But the big question is, how do you keep the very important cultural assets in your cities so that the smartness is not just an add-on by way of technology, but you are able to retain those cultural heritage within the cities and make your cities smart in conjunction of that rather than adding on the technology. City of Gwalior, as most of you may know, has got a very rich cultural heritage. City of Gwalior is also one of the smart cities of India. One of the challenging part for the Gwalior is how do you keep this heritage fabric intact, yet make city very efficient and effective for the people. Because heritage today is not necessarily just the fun part to keep your history alive. Heritage today, very clearly demonstrated from a lot of cities, especially in Europe, is one of the key components of your economic input for the cities. City of Barcelona, for example, not necessarily heritage itself, drives more than 50% of its direct GDP from tourism only, and it's one of the finest examples of smart cities in the world. We are fortunate to have a young Mr. MahipTejasvi, who is the CEO of the Gwalior City Smart City Limited, and he is going to share with us what is he doing with his team to ensure this cultural heritage is kept intact. Mahip.
Good morning, everybody. As Mr. Dubey told you about Gwalior, it's a heritage city, and it's a city where you can see different architectural style buildings. The heart of the city is called Maharajwada, and around 7 architectural style buildings are placed over there. So initially, when we started to prepare SCP, so the foremost idea before the forum was that how to maintain those architectural structures and to retrofit the development in those heritage structures so that we may not disturb the original identity of the city, and at the same time we may ensure the development to the citizens also. So we came up with the idea where we have decided a project of around 200 crore rupees, That is, the name of project is Revitalization of Maharajwada. And you may see the buildings over there are, certain buildings are Gothic structure, Mughal structure, Italian structure, and different kind of architectural style buildings are there. But those buildings are either they are underutilized or they are lying vacant over there. By the time, as we see in most of the buildings, what happens due to weather conditions and because of no use buildings, we don't find any value in them. So similarly, we decided to create no vehicle zone over there, pedestrian only zone, and we are struggling with the problem of traffics also. So traffic solution, we are making multi-level parking in which we are ensuring to decongest all the traffic which is moving towards the heart of the city. So that we can make that city free from traffic, free from the encroachments and all. Similarly, not only government buildings, even private buildings which are having heritage look and different architectural style buildings, even with the private owners, we have idea of heritage network trail, in which we have identified around 200 building blocks, to which we are developing as a trail network, in which we will be improving facade of the building, facade lighting will be done. So this is one part where we are spending around rupees 200 crore. This is almost highest budget in heritage city component. But not only about the heritage part, Gwalior is a modern city also. It's well connected and the counter magnet city, it's close to Delhi. So we are implementing, as you can see in Nagpur, we are creating a command and control center. Similarly, as in all these cities, we are establishing OFC cable network all over the cities, city surveillance system. And this command and control center will be working as a disaster management center also with all the facilities. So in the same way, we are looking towards the other projects also. There is a water crisis in Gwalior, as it's plateau land. So basically in tableland area, what you see, you don't have plenty of water to waste. So the challenge before the city is to get the ample amount of water for the future generations also. So we have a river that is called Suvarnrekha river, and we are working to get water flowed into that river through the treatment plant. And we are proposing to install sewer treatment plant in trunk line, and around 13.5 kilometer stretches over there. So in that stretch, we are proposing to create certain pits also, and so that we can get the aquifers recharged underground, and we can have the permanent solution for water crisis. In the similar situation, we have implemented certain good projects in, we are implementing certain good projects in social sector and education sector also. In municipal schools, we have implemented a smart classroom system. I think you people are very well aware about the education system in our country, and it's a good education system, but lacks certain opportunity of technology. So in most of the city, these projects are being taken care. In similar way, we have started with a project of a smart classroom. So we have targeted around 100 schools in which we are proposing a smart classroom. So this way, and another one good project we are to boost up the economy in Gwalior. There are a lot of engineering colleges and institutes, and a lot of engineers and other workforce for IT-enabled services are produced every year, but they don't find any job. So smart city solution is for it's inclusive solution, and it should involve all these members of the society, what to say about a student and for about all these citizens. So we have thought a plan for the economic development and job creation also. In that we are developing a trade center, in which we are inviting corporate houses to establish offices, so that the students who are getting completed their degree over there, they can get jobs. So in this way, we are planning in an inclusive way. As I discussed about the heritage city and discussed about the revitalization project, there we are thinking even about the hawkers and vendors also, and about the old dwellers, the old residents also, how to retain their old business, so that if we are creating any structure that may not lead to the loss of somebody's economic opportunity, that is very important. It's all the time keeping somebody on a stake is not good in terms of when you talk about the development. So that is the basic idea. Whatever we are implementing with human touch, and basically projects are for citizens, so we are keeping in mind that. Thank you so much.
I think you set the tone of the economic development and inclusiveness as a key highlight of your talk, and that's going to be something very critical in most of the smart cities, the job opportunities. Because technology, if it starts to take the jobs away, is going to become a very scary thought. I think in the West, currently we are grappling with a lot of debate about artificial intelligence, applied data, manufacturing, co-creation by way of decentralization of manufacturing, and that is giving a very different level of debate in our cities. But let's move slightly away from the proposition of energy, that what kind of energy we need and what's the relationship between the energy and sustainability for cities around the world, most notably cities in India. By any means, if we look at the amount of energy or quantum of energy required for Indian cities to operate at the most basic level, you probably need a lot of energy sources which may not be available in the current planet as we speak. So the notion of alternate energy is a fundamental link if we want to talk about the sustainability and we want to talk about achieving the goals, which is 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. If the relationship of energy and sustainability is not explored and really given enough thought, SDG goals are going to, or SDGs are going to look very shaky. 2018 may not look that we have to do some active participation or active engagement at the global level, but 12 years will go very fast. In that, European Union is doing a lot of work in areas of energy and environment, in areas where economics of the energy is clearly demonstrated both from the science and from the participation part. In that, we are fortunate to have Henriette today with us, who is the first Chancellor of the Environment, Energy, Climate Change at the European Union Commission, and she's going to speak or tell us what's happening in this equation of energy and sustainability. But most importantly, how this can be delivered and what is the role of city leaders in this is going to be an important discussion point from your talk. Because what we have seen throughout the world, wherever we have strong leadership at the city level, cities have demonstrated very courageous steps forward towards saving energy and adopting alternate energy policies. And in that, the Compact of Mayors is playing a very important role, which is initiated by European Union, and we are going to hear how that can make some inroads or strong inroads in India. So over to you, Henriette.
Oops. Just put this down so I can see you. I'm not so tall. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed mayors, commissioners, representatives of cities, governments, and all kind of other actors engaged in urbanization and climate change here in India and elsewhere. really welcome, and on behalf of the European Union, I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity to speak to you a little bit about what we in the European Union are doing on these issues, and what we feel that we can do together. I think it's already very clear from the first speeches that with this situation that we have with increased urban population and increased climate challenges, we have really, really very important tasks before us, and it's very important that we now take this next step forward and try to see how can we actually make sure that we guarantee water, sanitation, energy, health, transportation, housing, all of these things that are needed for sustainable urbanization. We have these challenges in Europe, we have them in India, and we have them really actually everywhere in the world for the time being. The Sustainable Development Goals that we heard about, the Paris Agreement for Climate Change and the new Urban Global Agenda, are really opportunities that allow us to bring all these things together and have ambitious and forward-looking ways to deal with all these issues. It's really important that we have, as was mentioned, the local actors are the ones that will be able to actually take this forward. So that's why I'm particularly pleased to be in this forum. And I just wanted to do a little bit of name dropping because that's always useful. So I would like to quote Mr. Ban Ki-moon, the former Secretary General of the United Nations, who said that if you want to see something done, it's better to ask a mayor. So for all the mayors who are here, you can hear that expectations are placed on you from highest possible level. So we in the European Union have also decided to work very closely with mayors. And as you're probably aware, just a while ago, we launched something that's called the Global Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy, South Asia chapter. So the Global Covenant of Mayor has existed across the world for some time now. It was created from the Compact of Mayors, which came out of the Bloomberg Foundation, and the European Covenant of Mayors. And now we have really put these two initiatives together, and now actually already it comprises of almost 8,000 cities across the globe, across 6 continents, with more than 120 countries represented, and over 700 million, 10% of the global population. So all these people are getting together because they want to do something on energy, climate action in cities. And I think actually from all the developments, it's very important that we have sustainable development goals. It's very important that we have the Paris Agreement. But something like this, that 10% of the population are getting together to be more ambitious than what their government has asked of them and what the global community is asking of them. I think that's a really, really encouraging part. So this is why we are supporting this, the European Union is supporting this here in India, in South Asia, and across the globe actually, but I'm particularly involved in the South Asia component of this. And we are rolling it out now with the launch of this South Asian chapter of the Global Covenant of Mayors. So really my main aim of today is that I would like to engage more cities in this Covenant of Mayors, because I think that's where we can really share best practices and get some concrete action on the ground. So the Global Covenant of Mayors South Asia is new. It had until 3 weeks ago 14 signatories in South Asia, and by the launch event in the beginning of May, we welcomed 2 other Indian cities, Surat and Gangtok. So now we have 16 cities, and you can hear that's a very tiny beginning, but nonetheless, we've seen in other parts of the world that this is really kicking off. So I think that we can take this opportunity to also kick it off with a big splash here in South Asia. So just to bring this initiative a little bit into the context of some of the other things that we are doing, for the European Union here in India, this is a very important component of actually 2 of our main partnerships with India. We have something that we call the India-EU Clean Energy and Climate Partnership, which was launched by our leaders in 2016, and which really aims to bring together all the activities that we are doing on clean energy and climate action between our 2 parts of the world. And in 2016, in our most recent summit between India and the European Union, we launched another partnership that we called the Partnership for Smart and Sustainable Urbanization. And actually, I was really heartened to hear the previous speakers because when the Smart City mission here was first launched, I was actually a little bit concerned because I thought it was going to be only about installing a lot of ITs and steel and glass and everything else. But I can see that really the way smart cities are understood here is very close to how I understand it, that it should be cities that are very nice to live in, livable cities, sustainable cities. So this is why we named it Smart and Sustainable Urbanization Partnership, because that's, I mean, I feel really how we can make this this leap forward. So the idea of the partnerships from our side, both of these two partnerships, is that we would like to bring together not only policy dialogue that we generally have between the government of India and our bureaucratic system in Europe, but also the projects that we're doing. We've done a lot of projects on city level, on climate action throughout for the last years here. But what we have not done is trying to bring all this together, and this is really the idea now, to try to have policy dialogue, to have concrete solutions brought together, new research and innovation. I just was here, just before coming here, I had a meeting with somebody from something called the Climate Kick, which are doing open innovation in cities for climate action. And all of these things, we can put them together, bringing businesses on board, bringing our member states on board, Indian states on board, into these partnerships that can really, bring all these actions together. So this is what I find is really exciting. Just to talk a little bit more about what is inside this partnership on smart and sustainable urbanization. Again, I mean, it has to be something holistic if we want the cities to be sustainable, to be smart, and to be livable. And as the European Union, we've done a lot of little things that we can bring together. I mean, we need to look at energy efficiency in cities. Just last week, we were in Maharashtra, where we've been working for some time to implement this energy efficiency in buildings codes. I mean, it sounds like a horrible and boring topic, and when I first heard about it, I was thinking, okay, is this really needed? But what I have understood now is that by the fact that Maharashtra is now committed to notifying this piece of legislation, it means that we have the opportunity to save 25% of the energy consumption of Maharashtra, and that's not unimportant. So again, we would like to bring this together. We would like to showcase to other states. We don't have the opportunity to work with each and every state, but we have the opportunity to work with many, and we would like to share that this is how it has been done here, and this is what actually other states can also be doing. So this is also what we would like to bring into this partnership, learning from some of the best practices that we've seen from some Indian states or Indian cities, so that we can replicate some of these good examples. We've done another project that's called Integrated Urban Water Management. We heard about the water challenges, and again, it's something that needs to be built into every smart city proposal that you're doing. If you're not smart on water, if you're not smart on energy, if you're not smart on transport, then you're not developing a smart city. So this is really what we're looking forward to. So then, also, I mean, as I said, we have a lot of business solutions. I mean, we have here, I think, a delegation of a number of 19 SMEs, I was told, from one of our European projects that's called Ready to Go. So really businesses that have new solutions for smart cities. And I mean, just walking through the exhibition here, I saw there are so many solutions available. And we just have to see how can we implement them in a consolidated way, in a coherent way, in a way that where we don't have undesirable effects from what we are trying to do. How do we deal with air quality at the same time as we deal with transport and waste and everything? So, yeah, you can hear I'm very passionate about this, and I think we can do a lot. So I'm just very pleased to be here, and really, if you would like to be part of this Covenant of Mayors, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. If you would like to share your solutions, what you have done on smart and sustainable urbanization under the India-EU Urbanization Partnership, please get in touch with us, and let's try to make this work together. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Henriette. Thank you very much. If you want something done, ask Mayor. Thank him on. So why don't we go to the Mayor? And I apologize, I'm going to switch to Hindi or try how well I can speak still. So, sir, आपने अपने शहर में देखा है कि मेयरशिप, लीडरशिप के लिए चैलेंजेस पहले सिटी में बहुत हैं, उसके बाद स्मार्ट सिटी ऐड करने के बाद और चैलेंजेस बढ़े हैं या कम हुए. We are honored to have Mayor of Moradabad with us, and Moradabad has got something very unique. 1/4 of the population of the entire Moradabad is involved only one specific trade, which is the brass trade. That is a huge opportunity and the risk at the same time. तो उसके लिए सर आप हमें बताइए कि आप अपने शहर में क्या क्या कर रहे हैं और किस तरीके से मुरादाबाद को अब आप स्मार्ट बना रहे हैं. ओवर टू यू सर.
धन्यवाद. 4th स्मार्ट सिटीज इंडिया 2018 एक्सपो में आज यहाँ पर हमारे साथ चेयर पर्सन हमारे श्री सुनील दुबे जी, सीनियर एडवाइज़र मेट्रोपोलिस. सबसे मैं कहूँगा हमारे अपने बीच में यंगेस्ट IAS डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर श्रीमती आम्रपाली कट्टा जी. थैंक्स फॉर डॉक्टर रामनाथ सोनेवाने जी, CEO नागपुर, मिस हेनरिट Faergemann, EUD फर्स्ट काउंसलर एनवायरनमेंट. और अभी इससे पहले हमारे मित्र साथ में श्री MahipTejasvi जी, CEO ग्वालियर, और सभी यहाँ पर पधारे हुए इस कॉन्क्लेव में लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, सभी का मुरादाबाद स्मार्ट सिटी में मेयर विनोद अग्रवाल की ओर से आपका हार्दिक अभिनंदन, स्वागत. मुरादाबाद सिटी 600 साल पहले मुगल बादशाहों के ज़माने में शाहजहां के पुत्र मुराद के नाम से मुरादाबाद बसाया गया. मुरादाबाद is famous for its brass handicrafts production and export across the world. It's called as brass city. The city is selected as smart city in the smart city challenge round 4. हमारे शहर में हम लोगों ने स्मार्ट सिटी के लिए जनता की मूलभूत सुविधाओं को ध्यान में रखते हुए सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट पे काम कर रहे हैं, रोड्स पे काम कर रहे हैं, वाटर सप्लाई के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, सीवरेज के लिए काम कर रहे हैं और ट्रांसपोर्टेशंस के लिए कर रहे हैं. बंधुओं, दुनिया 21वीं सदी की ओर बढ़ रही है. इसमें हमारा भारत भी अब हिंदुस्तान में 100 स्मार्ट सिटी बनाने के लिए कदम बढ़ा रहा है. मैं उत्तर प्रदेश के 10 स्मार्ट सिटी में से एक मुरादाबाद को भी शामिल होने के लिए हम अपने शहर की जनता का और भारत सरकार का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं. और इस कॉन्क्लेव में लगातार 5वीं बार मुझे यहां पर बुलाने के लिए भी मैं इसके आयोजकों का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं. हमें मुरादाबाद शहर जो एक गिफ्ट आइटम्स के लिए, हैंडीक्राफ्ट्स के लिए जाना जाता है, पीतल नगरी, पीतल की चमक, पीतल की तरह हम मुरादाबाद को भी दुनिया के अंदर वर्ल्ड के नक्शे पर शाइनिंग करना चाहते हैं. बंधुओं, हमें मुरादाबाद के स्मार्ट सिटी में 2056 करोड़ रुपए का हमने इसके अंदर प्रावधान किया है, जिसके अंदर मूल रूप से हमने चूंकि
कोई बात आप चलिए।
मूल रूप से चूंकि हमें यूरोप कंट्रीज में, विशेष तौर पे यूएसए में, यूके में, सऊदी अरेबिया, ब्राज़ील और ऑस्ट्रेलिया, इन सभी कंट्रीज में हमें 8,600 करोड़ रुपए का निर्यात का कार्य होता है, जो एक हार्ड फॉरेन एक्सचेंज हम भारत सरकार को अर्न करके देते हैं, जिसके अंदर लगभग 3 लाख से अधिक हमारे यहाँ श्रमिक कार्य कर रहे हैं। बंधुओं, चूंकि स्मार्ट सिटी का जो उद्देश्य है, स्मार्ट सिटी का जो विजन है, वो हमारे भारत के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने जो शुरू किया है, उसके अंदर हमारे मुरादाबाद यहाँ से 156 किलोमीटर दूर, केवल नेशनल कैपिटल से दूर है। हमारे यहाँ अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ लो कॉस्ट मैन पावर है। मुरादाबाद हैज हाई नंबर ऑफ कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव मैन पावर which is involved in brass industries. The cost effective manpower which is involved in brass industries, the cost effective manpower is backbone of Moradabad economy. Around 30% of city population, means 3 lakhs, is involved in brass related industry. Due to low cost manpower, the production and logistic activities are less costly, which provides support to city's economy. हमारी जो मुरादाबाद सिटी है, उसकी जो स्ट्रेंथ है, वो मुरादाबाद is also known for well-known technical, medical, agriculture and research industries. The educated citizen can be trained and develop as skilled manpower to brass. Bandhuo, Moradabad Smart City proposal has 37 ABD and 16 pen city projects. Some big ABD and pen city projects are given, just like brass research and skill development के लिए हम लोगों ने 100 करोड़ रुपए 100 करोड़ का हमने प्रावधान किया है। ब्रास वाटर वेस्ट ट्रीटमेंट के लिए 75 करोड़, ब्रास पार्टिकल रिमूवर प्लांट के लिए 16 करोड़, ई वेस्ट ट्रीटमेंट के लिए 30 करोड़, मेटल रिकवरी प्लांट के लिए 15। इसी तरह हमारा 2016 करोड़ रुपए का मुरादाबाद के अंदर हम बनाने जा रहे हैं। मेरा आप सब जितनी भी विदेशी और देसी कंपनियां हैं, मैं सबको इनवाइट करता हूं कि आप आइए और मेरे शहर में आकर देखिए और क्या बेहतर से बेहतर आप लोग वह सुविधाएं मुहैया करा सकते हैं। और मैं मुरादाबाद को दुनिया के नक्शे के साथ साथ अपने शहर के लोगों को भी बेहतर से बेहतर सुविधाएं देने के लिए संकल्पबद्ध हूं। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। 8 मिनट का टाइम दिया था, 6 मिनट में अपनी बात समाप्त करता हूं। जय हिंद।
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Agarwal. Very passionate, and he put it so nicely, the distribution of 2,036 crores. So, our best wishes, sir. बहुत अच्छा लगा. Thank you. When we talk of smart cities, youth, the engagement of youth is probably one of the most critical element of delivering smart cities. 2014, Metropolis has a very special relationship with the city of Hyderabad, because when the state was done with Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, Metropolis worked effectively to bring the first largest cities congress in the city of Hyderabad. Metropolis was also very fortunate to work with one of the youngest officers in Hyderabad at that time, and not knowing that would become the future of smart cities or housing for all notions in 2014 in Hyderabad. It is an absolute fortunate to see that officer again sitting next to us, and Amrapali is now the commissioner at the city of Warangal, and she is going to talk to us what is she doing in her city to bring it and make it smart. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Respected dignitaries on the dais and my dear friends. Recently, I don't know how many of you watch TV, but yeah, I'm sure. So there's this show on Netflix called Wild Wild Country. Okay, so I see very enthusiastic nodding. Yeah, oh, awesome. So this show is about, in the 80s, sometime in the mid 80s, India somehow became too hot to handle Osho and his disciples. I have to Google and find out why. I've not gotten to that stage yet. And, and they decided that they will just move in bulk to the US. So a big group of people buy thousands of hectares of land in the middle of nowhere in United States, build a city, build their own dams and agriculture and, you know, food, everything, start a small war with the locals and get deported back all within a span of 5 to 7 years. So when I see what they did and what we are trying to do, I think the only way we can really build smart cities if there is unending supply of drugs and free love. Anything short of that, it's a huge challenge. Because, so I've been working in Warangal for the last 1.5 years, I think almost 1.5 years, and while we are in a very fortunate position where all the stars have aligned and we have a very positive and very progressive political environment, and we think we are major contributors, and we have a lot of money, and there's a unending supply of technology, but still the truth is getting the smart city vision from strategy to implementation, which is the theme today, is a huge challenge. So first I'd like to tell you about Warangal. Warangal is a very old city. It's more than 1200 years old. It's been there for a very long time, and it is the heart of Telangana in terms of cultural input as well as the sense of rebellion and revolutionary. The Warangal blood is that of a revolutionary's blood. So we have long heritage and history. We have over 80 lakes within the city, and we have unusual situation where the city's area is over 400 square kilometers with a population of just about 1 million. So density of population wise, we have very dense pockets and large tracts where there's like nobody living or just paddy growing in the corporation. We have a municipal corporation with paddy growing in it. So all sorts of strange things keep happening. So budgetarily, the city has its own funds. The city funds are around 300 crores. Then we have grants from the state over the last 3 years only for city development amounting to 300 crores per annum. The smart city, we are part of the smart city mission, so we get another 200 per annum from both Government of India and Government of Telangana. Then we are also part of Hriday, which is a program for Government of India where they identify cultural and heritage pockets and give money for upgradation. We have another 50 crores coming from there. And we are also part of the Amrit mission where we have 544 crores set aside only for building up the waterways. So for a city of our size, this is a very unusual amount of money. So we are, as I said, we are ready with the raw material. So I'll just broadly tell you what we envisaged for the last 1.5 to 2 years and for the next 1 year for the city. So all the funds we have broadly, besides removing whatever we have for running the city in its usual thing, roughly we have kept aside 50% of the money for upgradation of key infrastructure, which is essentially roads and road related issues. And another 10% for electricity and electricity upgradation, and 25% for community centers, I will get into that, and about 15% for sanitation. Since water is being taken care of Amrit, that is not really involved in our day-to-day planning because that's a huge plan which is going on by itself. Now, if you take any one of these components and I tell you what it is we are doing, if I say we are building roads or if I say we are building parks, then the first question is, what's so smart about it? I mean, this is what people have been doing for the last 50 years. What are you adding? What is the value add from this whole smart city mission? So every project, everything we take up, we try to aim for sustainability, environment friendliness, best practices, and standardization. So as part of the smart city mission, the basic concept is that a small portion of the city will become a model for the rest of the city. And most of Government of India's smart city mission is focused on developing a very small 25 square kilometer area into a model area. So this is the area-based development component of the smart city plan. And the pan city component is usually a small technology component, which is just the integrated command and control system, putting in intelligent transport management, etc. So with the remaining funds which we are getting from the city and various other sources, our goal is to take the lessons we have learned or are learning in developing this model pilot area into a broad-based city-wide development. So we look for us the most important thing is standardization. Whether you're building parks, whether you're building roads, we aim for a standardized this thing. So I just, again, diverting back to my TV movie analogies, if you remember the Bond villain or any villain of that sort, they usually have very simple plans to take over the world. Send a rocket to the moon and aim it to Washington, or or kill all humans and start a new generation of people, right? Very simple plans. And then you'll be like, why is this guy so simplistic? But the thing is, anything more than simple, it'll fail. Keep it as simple as possible, standardize it as much as possible, then there's a small chance that you may change something, if not the world, at least a small city. So, so this is the model we use. So for example, over the last 1 year and over the next 1 year, over a span of 2.5 years, we are building 75 parks in the city. So while out of these 75 parks, 3-4 are, have a complicated design strategy, and we have landscape architects and all. For the remaining 60-70 odd, the goal is just identify the components which you think are mandatory for a park and then just plug it in. Basically, the goal is to build a few models of excellence and a broad-based standard solution. So these standard solutions then become just engineering problems, which are very easy in the government. Engineering problems are very easy to tackle because for that you need an estimate, you call a tender, you build a road, you build a wall, over, problem solved. But anything which involves design, technology, and anything more requires a lot more input. So whether it is roads, I'm talking about parks as a simple example for everyone to understand. Even if you take a road, the basic road is just a road, 4 lanes or 2 lanes or whatever you decide. Then the next step you add is you put in a median. Now, what should be the ideal width of the median? What should be the decorative components in it? Should there be grill? Should there be CRS masonry? Should there be CC walls? Should there be, what kind of horticultural components should be there? How wide should the footpath be? How big should the duct be? Now you may think, why should these decisions be made regularly? The unfortunate thing is that we are not building a new city, we are retrofitting, we are trying to plug it in at the available thing. So every small thing becomes a decision making issue. And even though it sounds simple that it's only a decision, every decision in the government usually takes 2 to 3 months minimum. So anything less than that, and it's clearly not a decision which has been actually taken. So the goal is to minimize any kind of discretion as much as possible and say group things and say this kind of things will only have this kind of things will only have this. So this is one thing we try for in terms of standardization, which I think is very important. Then another thing which we keep aiming for is being environment friendly. Our government is also very pro environment. We have a major government program for planting trees, just to show how green we are. But broadly, as part of this, we have taken about 10 lakes in the city which have become polluted over time, over a long period of time, because we have over 80 lakes, but right now we are focusing on 10 lakes. We have observed that with experience that any attempt to protect a lake or its FTL or its lake shore, the only way to really do it is to make sure that the community is involved in it. Unless the local community gets involved and takes ownership and says this is the boundary of the lake, then everybody becomes a protector of that lake. Everybody becomes alert and says, okay, there's someone putting drain water, someone's dumped garbage in it. Unless that is done, there is no way you can protect any of these bodies, because government machinery is it's just not sufficient. So how do you do that? So what we are again focusing on is standardizing some basic components which make sure that basic bund, walkways, place for playing, running, you know, maybe some places are suitable for rock climbing, some are suitable for water sports, whatever it is, we are identifying these things, plugging these in, and we are going for it. Then when I talk about sustainability, sustainability is not necessarily just being environmentally sustainable, but also economically sustainable. It's very easy to get a capital grant, because politically it makes sense. It's very easy for anybody, whether it's a third party NGO or a donor or a fund, this thing, they usually give a amount of money and say, okay, you build this or you make this. But how do you make sure that it keeps running? Where do you get the money to maintain a road or maintain a building or maintain a heritage structure? So every plan we have, we try to ensure that there's a component involved to make sure that at least for the next 5-6 years, we have funds tied up for maintaining it or for the O&M of the machinery. Simple thing is, actually I don't want to bore you, there are a lot of complicated things, but this is the broad funda, that operations and maintenance. So I think my time's up, huh? So you're getting up. So I'm just going to wind up quickly. And final thing I just want to say is that, again, I just want to tell some amusing stories, and then I'll wind up. So besides all this steps and complicated blah blah which we do, finally we are dealing with human beings, right? So even though you have money, you have everything, you still have one guy who has to build it, who will be the contractor or... So I want to tell a funny story of how we made our city ODF. We had multiple tie-ups with small people who will build, and one guy was supposed to supply us 30% of our material, the brick standardized commodes and toilets. Now this guy said he would we had a very clear deadline to which we had to go to. We kept pushing him, but obviously he was also under pressure, poor guy, I don't blame him. So we decided the only way to do it was this. We called him for a meeting and we said, you're not going home till we get our material. So essentially we did like a citizen arrest. I don't know if it is within the rules, but we just did it. So anyway, we became ODF bang on deadline, and I'm happy to say that we are now an ODF plus city. So thank you so much. And
thank you, Amrapali. Brilliant way to tell the stories and make it so connected so we can understand what the cities are. But you know, you simplify it and you modelize it, or you do the units. They make it more fun to do it. Look, with conscious of time, and we have another panel, I would just say thanks a lot for sharing all your experience. Thanks a lot for giving us some of the insights, some of the challenges, opportunities. And with that notion, I'll say please give a big hand to our panel. And thank you.